TNC, Original African Stories. Listener discretion is advised as this podcast may contain violence or strong language. Previously on My Name is A-Zed.
This is a crazy world.
You don't look where you go.
Please, I'm so sorry. Please don't be annoyed.
Fine boy. You want fuck? You want me to show you a good time?
Oga, which one are you want buy?
Aboki, I beg na food I define.
Aboki, give me one fantasy.
Jesus, I didn't even want to imagine what cleaning that would take.
A to the Z. Fine boy, so bad. Let's go home.
I have dropped a copy of the practice questions with Jelly at the photocopying center. See him for your copy and answer the first 10 questions, which must be submitted unfailingly by Tuesday morning.
Dr. Okeke's announcement was met with a huge roar of displeasure from the crowd of students that filled up lecture room 106. Moments later, a very unperturbed Dr. Okeke calmly strode out of the room with his very famous bouncy strut. Dari and I joined the other students on the mass exodus out of the poorly ventilated and body odor-filled lecture room. Still tired from the activities of the day and night before, I barely heard Dari as he rambled on about how unfair Dr. Okeke's assignment was.
I'm just tired of this Dr. Okeke chef. Every time he just makes...
All I wanted to do was get to my room and jump on my bed. I slept all through Saturday and most parts of Sunday. I slept so much I even missed the Arsenal game on Sunday. Thank God we won though. I couldn't bear another bout of embarrassing comments from those guys at the taxi park.
Ghana has the gun. Na cobweb full in a cabinet.
I wasn't even in the mood for work. I had more than enough money to last me for 2 weeks. Even as I remembered, I needed to send some money to Mama, as well as change some foreign currency. That's right. Kassy gave me dollars. Dolakbo. Benjamin. I can afford to rest through Sunday and resume work on Monday. Monday came and work was smooth. I picked up the car after my lectures as usual. Uncle Mufu wasn't around, so I had to see him later to give him the money for Mama. I changed the $100 with me at Sabo. 36K. Hey God. All this money. It's even good I didn't see Uncle Mufu. I have been tempted to send more money to Mama. I went around the mainland and took a few trips with some passengers. Then I drove down to the island. It's funny how one night can change so much. It was a little over 8 p.m. and even though I had no passengers, I took my time to familiarize myself with names of the streets on Victoria Island. Just as I decided to head back home, I got a request. I took the roundabout on Ajose, went towards Ahmadu Bello, and was flagged down by my rider, a young man wearing a suit with his tie slightly loosened. Banker, I thought. He had a laptop bag with him and was heading to Akoka in Yaba. Perfect. Despite the traffic, I was more than glad to make some money on my trip home. We chatted briefly and he confirmed my guess. Young banker, well-spoken, and good-looking. I dropped him off and he took my phone number, after asking if I could take him to work offline early in the mornings. He leaves home at about 6 a.m., so that works for me. I could drop him off and be back in time for my first lecture. I agreed to the deal and promised to see him the next day. By the time I got to the park, Uncle Mufu had left. I parked the car and returned to school. I didn't see Uncle Mufu until Wednesday evening. A lecturer had fixed a test for Thursday morning, so I decided to close early so I could get some reading done. I parked in my usual spot at the park around 5 p.m. and I walked into the park office. I hailed some of the drivers and went in to see my uncle. He was alone, which was very strange, but then I noticed he had some money on his table. That explained it. Uncle Mufu, sir. He quickly put away the money.
Azeez, how are you?
Uncle Muftal can sometimes be very nice, but most times he's too rigid and stern for me. Not my biological uncle, my dad's best friend, who vowed to see me through my university education after my father died. He taught me how to drive and gave me one of his taxis to use in making a living. Unlike all the other cabmen, I only had to deliver 20,000 naira every week. Any other thing I made was mine. Most weeks, I managed to make just about 20k after taking out the cost of fuel and little car repairs from the bummed out taxi. But this week, I had managed to almost triple that figure thanks to my Friday night ordeal. I gave Uncle Mufu my money for the week with an additional 10k for him to send to Mama.
10,000. Azeez, ibolo ti rowo.
I've been saving Ni. I just want to do all I can to get Mama up and running again. Uncle Mufu never talked much. He gave me a questioning look and that was all. My regards to Auntie and the kids, sir. What's in law? I dropped the key and made the short walk back to my hostel. Bought some apples just before I entered the hostel and munched on one as I walked into my room. Dari, my closest friend, and one of my 7 roommates, was in the room already studying for the test. He's the dictionary definition of a geek, always reading. He didn't even notice me coming to the room, busy differentiating and integrating. I slightly hit him on the head with the nylon bag of apples, and he almost fell off the chair he sat on.
Ha! Azeez, how oni? Ma binu jare. I was deep into the world of the YDX.
The Dari. Life doesn't start and end with buku. Chotijeun. Sha take apple, chop and relax your brain, okay?
It's not kuku my fault, jare. You know some of us here are not blessed like you. You only need a few minutes to run through all these things and you understand it.
He said while helping himself to an apple.
But wait oh, you have been buying apple on your way back since Monday. Are you fasting or has business been that good?
Daddy, it's God oh. That's all I can say. Now Baba God send me good Samaritan. Imagine a passenger paying me in dollars.
Dollars? Ha! Shogbe lo sorun ni. Did you take her to the moon?
Guy, where we went was farther than the moon. Just then, my phone rang, a number I didn't recognize. I wondered who it could be, even as it occurred to me that I hadn't heard from Kassy since I dropped her off that Saturday morning. It was probably better that way. I picked up the phone.
Hello? Is this A-Zed?
A-Zed? Only Kassy calls me that. Yes, this is A-Zed.
My name is Princess. I got your number from Kassy. Please, I need a ride for later tonight. Will you be available?
Later tonight. Sorry, where's that ma?
I said, will you be available?
I checked the time. 5:48. I saw the puzzled look on Dari's face from the corner of my eyes. Yes, ma. I'll be available.
Okay, great. I'll call you later to tell you where to meet me. Yeah?
Even before I cut the call, Dari asked,
What are you going to be available for? Aren't we supposed to go to the library together this night? And who is A-Zed?
He's one of those customers I can't say no to. I'm sure I'll be back in time to meet up with you at the library. Before Dari could respond, I dashed out of the room and quickly walked back to the taxi park. Uncle Mufu was out by the time I got there. As I got into my car, my phone rang. And it was that number again.
A-Zed, do you know Parkview Estate in Ikoyi?
Yes, ma, I do.
Okay, meet me at the estate gate at exactly 7 p.m. If you get there earlier, you'd have to find somewhere to pass time, but please make sure you're at the gate by 7 p.m. And please, stop calling me Ma.
Yes, ma. Yes, but I don't know your name.
But I told you before, it's Princess now.
It was just about 6 p.m. I quickly cleaned my car and hit the road. I was lucky traffic was light. I got there about 5 minutes early, so I took the long drive through Body Lawn and turned around at the end. By the time I got back to the Parkview Estate gate, it was exactly 7 p.m. Great timing. And almost as if it was rehearsed, a young lady casually dressed in jeans, white t-shirt, and heeled slippers walked out of the estate gate, carrying nothing but a simple handbag. She noticed the cab almost immediately and walked to the car and sat in front beside me. I tried not to stare, but as simple as she dressed, she looked remarkably beautiful. And she put on her seatbelt.
Kassy didn't tell me you were this young.
Okay. Which way are we going?
Just drive towards Lekki Phase 1.
As I drove, I noticed she kept on stealing glances at me, as if she was sizing me up. She kept to herself all through the ride. She only spoke when she directed me. A little over 7:30, I parked in front of a massive house, somewhere deep inside Lekki Phase 1, high fence with electric wires running around the top. Princess asked if I could give her a moment outside the car. She moved to the back of the seat as I exited the car. Moments later, she came out, totally transformed. She now had on a very, very, very short dress that showed off her really sexy figure. She had let down her hair, and all of this made her look even more beautiful. While I was still caught up in her transformation, she snapped her finger to get my attention, and I noticed she had on a smile.
It's almost 8, so please meet me back here exactly at 11 p.m. Once you get here, just press the bell and tell whoever attends to you that you're my driver and you're here to get me. But please, A-Zed, do not be late.
She didn't even wait for my response. In a matter of seconds, she had pressed on the little knob by the gate. The smaller door on the gate opened up and she vanished into the huge fortress. I stood there for a few minutes, wondering what I would do till 11 p.m. If only I had brought along my engineering mathematics textbook. I got into the car. I could listen to the radio. I drove down the road, bought a drink, drove back to the building, and it was still only 9:44 p.m. I didn't want to risk going on another trip while I waited. She was very specific about me not being late. So I reclined my seat and rested my back even as I replayed the events which opened me up to this new world. I remembered picking up Kassy and Debby, the trip to Baduri, the wait outside Why Not, Kassy giving me 10 grand, the long drive back to Baduri, and Kassy. Yes, Kassy. When we got back to their place at Baduri, she invited me in, but I declined and told her I had to rush somewhere as I had my assignment on my mind. She tried to rub the back of my head, but I held her hand away and pleaded for her to let me leave. That was when she looked at me and said,
A-Zed. See, A-Zed, me, I like you, and if you come inside, you will enjoy all of this.
She said this as she used her right hand to point to her breasts. She then caught me unawares as she rubbed my chest down to my groin area. I almost jumped off my seat. She laughed and said,
Are you a virgin? Come on, A-Zed, don't disappoint me. Anyway, let me not keep you. Just think about what I said.
She said this, she put her hand into her purse to produce $100 bill, which she handed to me. Of course I hesitated initially, but she more or less stuffed it into my hands and told me it was my payment for the night. Whew, what a night that was. I shook my head as I snapped back to reality. 10:54, got out of the car and stretched. Lingered a bit, and at exactly 11 p.m., I went to the gate. I pressed the bell button and waited. Instead of a face, I heard a voice.
Yes, who are you? And who are you here to see?
I'm Princess's driver. She said I should come and pick her here. I heard nothing for a while. Hello, did you hear me?
Miss Princess says you can leave. She will be in touch.
Leave? After waiting this long, just like that, driving around. I shook my head and walked towards the car, even as I silently murmured my protest. Before I got to my car, I heard the gate open. I looked back and saw a hefty-looking man walk out of the gate. He was about 6 feet tall and super buff. He looked like one of the bouncers I spotted at Why Not the previous Friday. He gestured at me to come. I cautiously approached him, and noticing my caution, he looked at me and said,
Please, come inside to wait for Miss Princess. Huh?
Okay. I walked past him through the gate and began to marvel at what I saw. A lush green lawn with beautiful flowers everywhere. I looked up and noticed a small bungalow far off in the middle of the compound. I turned to ask. My eyes fluttered open as I felt a sharp pain in my head. Everywhere was dark and I had voices around me.
Help! Please, somebody help!
Shut her up!
It was at this point I realized Princess was beside me. I moved around and tried to make sense of where I was. We were in the backseat of a car, blindfolded. The voices around kept talking.
Go, Zeno. Make it fast. I want you guys back here before Chief leaves, okay?
Wait, who? Who's Zeno? Who's Chief? Where are we? I heard the sound of 2 doors slamming shut. The car started and then zoomed off.